the ongoing clash between Dangote Refinery and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, otherwise known as PENGASSEN, has reached a critical point. This conflict erupted after Dangote Refinery dismissed over 800 Nigerian workers, many of whom were members of PENGASSEN, triggering allegations of unfair treatment and violation of labor rights by the union. The PENGASSEN claimed these workers were sacked for their union membership and replaced by more than 2,000 foreign nationals, mostly Indians. And this has generated accusations of enslavement of Nigerian workers. Now, in response, PENGASSEN ordered a nationwide withdrawal of services starting today, this morning, Monday. Now, to protest the dismissals and protect members' rights, instructing members across major oil and gas firms to halt crude and gas supplies to Dangote's refinery. Now, they warned this could hamper crude oil supply and Nigeria's energy stability. Dangote Group, of course, has also replied, said that the union's actions, accusations, allegations, it has labeled it as unlawful and economically damaging. They insisted the restructuring aimed to stop sabotage and ensure smooth operations, denying any illegal firing or replacement of Nigerian workers. Now, Dangote described PENGASSEN's order as a blatant and shocking display of lawlessness, emphasizing that disruptions could cripple a vital national economy. Mr. Due Process, who is to blame in this feud? Is it PENGASSEN who has, ordered its workers across Nigeria to shut down supply of gas and crude to Dangote, or do you think Dangote is responsible, is to blame? Who is to blame, or do you think both have a share in this blame?
The point is that PENGASSEN has failed over the years. There has been PENGASSEN before Dangote Refinery. What was their impact? Nigeria Refinery. When was the last time they went on strike demanding that the entire refinery of the country get to work? They are just there for their selfish interest. They are sabotaging the local production of fuel in the country. They never wanted the refinery to work. But for me, that's my sentiment, because they've never held the government accountable as expected. Rather, they were dilly-dallying with the government, and the union officials have not been transparent over the years in calling government out, ensuring that the right thing is done. In their very watchful eyes, refinery keep depleting to the extent that we have zero production until Dangote Refinery now came on board. Now, Dangote Refinery is entirely a private body, and you want to, enforce your rule on a private establishment. It will never work. Dangote Refinery have an eye on productivity. It will not want a situation whereby you hold down the refinery to ransom unduly, that they comply with your rules as a union. And that is why, if you look at the history of even education in the country, you see that the private sector is moving on. They are making progress in terms of the chain of the academic calendar. It's uninterrupted, right? Why is it that when ASU go on strike, they don't force Nigerian private universities to join them on strike? That aspect of the private establishment has to be respected, even in the oil and gas industry. So, the PENGASSEN should rather cover their faces in shame by Nigerian oil refineries to shut down. So they should not take their stupidity, sorry for the use of the word, to Dangote Refinery. They should allow the young man to rule his company the way he wants it. Those who are not satisfied, find elsewhere to go and work. That is my submission.
All right, Dangote is a private person. He has the right to employ and sack workers as he pleases. But what the people are saying now, what those who are against him are arguing about is that his sack or his layoff of over 800 workers was as a result of his learning to know that these workers were planning to join PENGASSEN. How do you see that?
Yes, he's a smart guy and he understands the rules of the game. It's easy to employ people and keep them in the job, but the moment they start embarking on unionism, it's difficult for you to manage them. And that's why he chose to quietly separate them from their job. So, what are they? What is the benefit of them joining Pengassin to Dangote Refinery and to Nigerians? That is the question you asking. I should be interested in, okay, by virtue of Dangote Refinery staff joining Pengassin will lower the price of fuel. I'll be interested, right? But it never is. They are not interested in ensuring that the refinery survives. Rather, they will be bent on ensuring that the grease also association. So it's all about the selfish interest that have been taken too far. Dangote Refinery remains a private company and should be respected. That's my opinion.
What do you think will be the consequence, the immediate consequence of shutting down supplies to Dangote? All right.
The country loses, the masses loses because it will affect the price of fuel. Shortly, there will be no more fuel available for Nigerians. And the government of Nigeria have the capacity and the capability to ensure food production. But over the years, they deliberately refused to allow the refineries to work. They've sabotaged the efforts. And even Pegasus staff are part of those that are sabotaging the efforts of the refineries. Now they want to take the same stability to the Dangote Refinery, which he will not fold his hands and allow that to work.
All right. Now, there is the Nigerian Trade Union and Trade Disputes Acts, because whatever happens in Nigeria, we have a law, certain regulations that govern how entities, organizations should manage their conflict. So there is the Nigerian Trade Union Act and Nigerian Trade Disputes Acts. Now, some people are blaming Pengassen for violating the terms or the letters of this law. These acts regulate the right to strike and require specific procedures to be followed before a strike or work stoppage is lawful. Now, let me roll out some of these provisions. The first is that the union must engage in a dispute resolution mechanisms such as negotiation, conciliation, or arbitration before embarking on a strike. Second, the strike must relate to a dispute of rights, typically involving breach of employment terms or fundamental labor issues. Then, the union must provide the employer, in this case, Minister of Labor and Employment, with a written notice of intention to strike, including reasons and duration, at least 15 days prior. In quote, 15 days prior. Now, a secret ballot must be conducted among union members where a majority supports the strike. Another one is that strikes are typically prohibited in essential services such as energy supply, including gas and electricity. So, in this context, regarding Pengassen's current strike and withdrawal of services from Dangote Refinery, Pengassen's action involves stopping crude oil and gas supply, which falls under Nigeria's definition of essential services. So there is this debate whether Pengassen fully complied with all required dispute resolution. I mentioned negotiation, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, and all that. And the procedural steps before the strike was summoned, including notice and ballots. So violating these legal requirements can render a strike unlawful under the Trade Disputes Act and the Trade Unions Act. However, PENGASSEN argues it is responding to unlawful mass sackings and victimization of Nigerian workers involving their constitutional and labor rights. So there should be some kind of mutual blame between the parties. Don't you think so?
Then, of course, there is a share of blame, but then Dangote Refinery, I will always align with the refinery in this instance because there are shareholders who have invested heavily to ensure that the refinery stands. And they will not sit back and not expect their proceeds at the end of the year, right? They expect their return on investment. And if Dangote is to allow PENGASSEN to have her way as it's currently planned, then the entire production will not to stand still. Because PENGASSEN is ordering her workers, her union members to stay out of work, whereas their payment must continue. If it's government, government may fund the loss, but as private individual, it's difficult to manage that kind of.
Okay, that's all right. Mr. Ibrahim, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Do you see this conflict as a war between capitalism and socialism, or is it oversimplification of the term? Is it, not right to use that term, but those terms?
No, it's a war of capitalism versus capitalism, not capitalism versus socialism. The PENGASSEN and Mr. Due Process rightly highlighted it. He said the PENGASSEN failed before Dangote Refinery. There was PENGASSEN before Dangote Refinery, right? What have they done to ease the fuel subsidy in Nigeria and a lot of things? I actually served in the refinery. I did my 1 year mandatory industrial training at Kaduna Refinery. And these people, they only care about the money that comes from NNPC. They don't care about the job. Kaduna Refinery alone can provide job for more than 20,000 people. I told you the other day that they have 18 different departments. At the time, around 2019, 2019 was the time that I did my industrial training at Kaduna Refinery. And at that time, they are producing at 30% capacity. And they are producing how many thousand barrels every day? They were refining at that very period of time. And don't forget, vast, overwhelming majority of the petroleum products are being burned out. They are producing only the thing they call DPK, dual-purpose kerosene, alternative gas oil, and premium motor spirit, PMS. That's the only three things they are producing at the time. They are burning asphalt, burning phosphorus, and a lot of petroleum products. But at that very time, they took 3,000 IT students, 1,000 core members. So could you see how they would provide a lot of job opportunity to the people? But they don't care about that. They only care about the money. You know, they are one of the parastatal and agencies that are taking the highest number of pay from the federal government. So PENGASSEN and NUPENG are fighting for their own interests. And Dangote, at the same vein, is a capitalist. He's a monopolist. We know that. But the fight is not for the common man. It's a fight among themselves. Who gets to control the oil sector in Nigeria? That's why I don't care about their fight. If the fight is going to benefit the common man, that's what I care about. And at this moment in time, Dangote seems to be the one who is going to help the common man, not the PENGASSEN and NUPENG. So clearly, I'm going to side with him, not because he is the savior, but because he aligns more with the interests of the common man at this critical moment in time, not because he is right, because he's going to favor me. If they're going to play the game, let me play the game at least.
Yes, you are telling the truth. Dangote has been able to do what the Nigerian government and the NNPC have not been able to do for many years. by building, with his own money, a refinery worth billions of dollars. So, but when you say monopoly, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that Dangote doesn't give a level playing field for other parties or other players to come and present their own case and or resources? What do you mean by he's a monopolist?
Yeah, calling him a monopoly in that sense, in a capitalist society, the word a level playing field is a mirage, not a reality. You can't achieve a level playing field while there is clashing personal interests. The core idea of capitalism is the marketers, the businessmen decide the price of things in the market. And you give a level playing field for them to compete among each other, right? And in that, most of the business people, for you to be at the top, you have to play some dirty games to put others down. I don't know if you ask me which game Dangote is playing, but for him to be the only person or the major supplier of rice, the major supplier of sugar, the major supplier of a whole lot of things, and again to venture into oil and gas business and to build the largest refinery. It is not a rocket science. You can't say this is coincident. We can't pretend that we don't have any other business people in Nigeria that could be offering that. But the fact remains, he knows how to play the game very well. In a capitalist society, those who are corny, those who are ambitious, those who knows how to play the game tend to be the one at the top. And he played the game to his own interest, whether he's getting it through preferential treatment, as some people claim, or whatsoever. It's just the game that he's playing, because in capitalist society, no one is a monopoly to virtue. So definitely, anyone among the business people that have the same opportunity he has is going to capitalize on it. So he's capitalizing on the opportunity he has and clearly dominating the market. That's is an evidence of him being a monopolist. And everybody knows that in Nigeria. He can only pretend to be otherwise, he himself, but everybody knows that.
What do you think is the cause of the ineffectiveness or inefficiency of our refineries in Nigeria? Nigeria has 4 refineries. Why is it that there's only one? The government has not been able to reactivate or revive these refineries. What do you think is responsible for that?
The workers themselves in the refineries don't want the refineries to work. That's one. Every month, they are receiving their pay, and there's one pay they call upfront. In each and every NNPC worker is receiving an upfront. That means a multiple of your salary by 12 will be given to you every December. And if the refinery, for example, those working in the refinery and pipeline and product marketing, if the refinery is working, they are going to receive 13 months, what are they calling it, bonus after every 13 months if the refinery is working. So, and those in maintenance, the federal government is allocating a huge amount of money in maintenance. So if the refinery is working perfectly well, there will be no money for maintenance. At least the federal government will demand that they finance the maintenance from the company, right? And the money will stop coming. So they are clearly playing a game with the federal government. The federal government will keep pumping money in the oil and gas sector while they keep using the money for their own benefit, making sure that the refineries are not working. I served there for 1 year, and I served in the production department. I know what these people are doing, and not all of them, but those at the top of the strata, they don't want the refineries to be working. It is evident they don't want it to be working for their own interest.
I think it's a very sad situation that some people are sabotaging Nigeria's economy, because this is sabotage.
Sabotage, real sabotage, my brother. Because if you have been there, you see that they have few staffs and a lot of contract staffs, IT students, and co-members that they are paying petty, small amount of money, and they are the ones that are carrying the tax. They are the ones that are doing the job for them. in the refineries.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim, DDM News Analyst. Mr. Ako Christian Oche, Convener Due Process Integrity Vanguard. It is nice speaking with you all. Thanks for your time and contribution.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
viewers,
very much, Mr. Tuchukurafel. It's a pleasure.
All right, this is where we draw a close on this program. We shall be here again tomorrow for another topic, exciting story. I'm Toshku Raphael. Bye-bye.